This is the hot end. I'm John, and I've got myself a new 3D printer that I bought with my own money. Firstly, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. We haven't posted for a long time on YouTube. Now, the reason for that is that I really hadn't seen anything new in the 3D printing world, so we sort of had a sabbatical, a break if you like. But recently I saw some videos on this new Klipper firmware and the new printers that have come out to use it. I think the first one was Bamboo Lab, and then there's been several others, Creality and Kitty Tech and a few others. And I like the look of those, so I thought I'm going to get myself one of those and see what they're like. So I did. Now, which one did I get? Well, I went through every video I could find, every review I could find. Some reviews were really good, and some reviews were questionable. So I made my decision and I bought, with my money, a Creality K1 Max. Yep, a Creality K1 Max. Now, there are a number of reasons why I decided on that printer, and I've actually got notes, so I'm going to have to read some notes here. First and foremost, the things that I like with it, and just bear with me, is the build volume for a start. The 300 cubed is excellent. Now, this is not a review. I emphasize that. This is not a review on this machine. This is purely my thoughts of what it does, how it does it, and if I like it. I haven't got any of the other machines yet to compare them against, but I do have a lot of YouTube videos I've seen. So here we go. The things that I like, or my experiences with this machine. Firstly, the ease of setup. It comes in a big box and it's a matter of removing a couple of screws and you're ready to print. It's that easy. Load your filament, off you go. Very simple setup. What else do I like? It's fast. Now, I'm not used to these sort of speeds. I'm used to printing at 40, maybe 50 if I'm lucky, millimeters a second on my old printers. This thing prints just about any file 4 times or more faster than any other printer I have, and the quality is just perfect. I can't fault the quality of the printing on this machine. So that moves us on to the build of the machine. The framework and how it's put together is excellent. It is really solid, and everything is nice and square and everything tracks truly, which can be a problem on Core XYs. This one, everything is just perfect, runs beautifully. It also looks good. It's not like some of my other printers that have been cobbled together and tinkered with that much that it has wires everywhere. This thing just looks great. The touch screen on this machine is excellent. It's very fast, there's everything on it that you need on a 3D printer, the settings you can change and what have you. It is really, really nice to use. It has full Wi-Fi. Now, I've never had a printer with Wi-Fi before, but this thing just opens a whole new game. I can sit down at my computer, and as long as I'm using the Creality software, I can monitor the prints, I can film the prints, I can see how it's going, I can start a print, stop a print, all those sorts of things, all from my Wi-Fi computer or my phone using the app, which is great. Now, I will put one proviso on that. I would never run a printer in my home, which is where my printers are, unattended. So I would never start a print if I was not in the same room as the printer. It's just one of those things, I can't trust something that runs that hot without keeping an eye on it at the start, at least, anyway. Let's see, what else? The auto leveling function on this machine is perfect, great, cannot fault it. Even though according to the mesh, the bed itself is nearly a millimetre out front to back, the compensation that the bed leveling does is absolutely perfect. I've not had a first layer failure at all, and that leads me to bed adhesion. Seen a lot of videos where people have trouble with bed adhesion on this printer. I don't really understand why. The instructions of the machine say to use glue on the print surface. I hate glue and I don't use glue. All I do is I give the print surface a quick wipe down with alcohol, and I print the first layer a little slower than what the normal settings tell you. I print the first layer at around about 30 to 40 millimeters a second, and I have the bed for PLA at 60 degrees. I've never had a failure, and I've never had a print come unattached from the bed. It's just works perfectly. So I'm not sure what the other people are doing, but mine's great, I love it. I can print any filament, PLA, ABS, ASA, nylon, carbon fibre, anything I want I can print on this machine, which is what I want. It's why I went for an enclosed Core XY machine. I have had others, and I like the way that you can use all the filaments. You're not restricted to just a couple. What else have we got? And the LIDAR. Now, I have absolutely no idea how a LIDAR works or what it even is. I know there's a laser in there and it does something. I use it when I start a print. I don't know if it does anything at all, but as I said, I've never had a print fail and I've never had a first layer fail, so I'm guessing it's something to do with the LIDAR, the way it scans the bed. Now, I'm running the most recent firmware updates on this, so I guess it works, but like I say, I have no idea. Let's move on. Things that I don't really like about the machine and what I've done to alleviate these problems. The first one is it's loud. It's all fan noise. The fans are extremely loud on this machine. It would benefit from some quieter fans installed, but I'm not going to go to all that trouble. All I've done is turn down the speed of the fans, particularly the print fan in the extruder head and the fan that's on the side of the printer that's also a print fan. I turned the speed down on those, and yep, makes a huge difference to the amount of noise that the thing puts out. It's yeah, chalk and cheese, and it still has plenty of cooling to print just about any model. In the slicer, it will compensate for overhangs and things like that, where it speeds up the fan anyway, so yeah, it works for me. The same gripe that most people have had with this machine, the filament holder is on the back of the machine. Now, who came up with that, I don't know, but every manufacturer seems to do it, and it's just dumb. So I removed the little plug at the back that holds the PTFE tubing in place, and I run, and I'll put some B-roll up, an external spool holder, and problem solved. It's really good. And while we're speaking of PTFE tubing, one fault that I did find that everyone else has found as well is that the lid is too close to the top of the extruder, and the PTFE tube is bent at too much of an angle and it rubs on the glass. I just printed one of the several lid riser prints, and I've lifted the lid up, and I also moved the clips that hold the PTFE tubing to the cable chain. I moved them backwards a bit so that the PTFE tubing has more room to move. Problem solved. The second last thing is the slicer, the Creality slicer that comes with the machine, which basically is a version of Cura, and I've never liked Cura right from the outset. It's not a slicer that I've used a lot, and I just don't like it. Unfortunately, the only way you can use the full Wi-Fi function, which is loading your G-code from your phone or computer onto the machine, you have to use the built-in Creality software. I just can't use it. It's really not a good slicer. I, like most people in the 3D printing world, have gone to Orca. Orca slicer is fantastic, and I use it and I transfer the files manually, and just there's no comparison. The Orca slicer is just brilliant. Now, this brings me to another point, and that's when they say that this printer can print beautifully straight out of the box. That is only true if you're printing the pre-sliced files that are on the machine's memory. It prints out a benchy, and the benchy here comes out really nice. It's a beautiful print. It prints in around 16 minutes, which is really fast, and it uses the Creality Hyper PLA. The problem I have with this is I cannot get the printer to slice, the slicer to slice, whether it's using the Creality slicer or Orca slicer. I cannot get, with preset settings, I emphasize that, the presets, cannot get this print to duplicate, as in to print as good as this and in that shorter time. The quickest I can get using the presets is around about 40 minutes. So something's not right there. There's a bit of false advertising, if you like. Something is not right. Yeah, it prints great, but I have no idea what settings or what slicer they've used to do that. So I've used Orca Slicer, and I have modified the Orca Slicer and use some of the presets, not all, and change a few things because I'm not limited to using Creality filament. I want to use WARRAGUL filament, which is a sponsor of this show, has been for forever, and WARRAGUL filament is readily available here in Melbourne. They've been supplying filament to the channel for a long time, so I've been using that, and I'll show you some examples. And I've used some different settings in the slicer to accommodate for using that. Not just the generic PLA settings, because they're simply not right either. The only thing that I can see with the Creality slicer with the generic PLA versus their hyper PLA is it drops the volumetric setting from 23 to 18, which slows down the print process, and there's no reason for it. I've been printing at 23 with a WARRAGUL filament and everything runs fine. The prints come out fantastic. Okay, a couple of things that I'm not real sure on. And one, as I've already mentioned, is the LiDAR. I don't know if it works or not, but I use it because it's there, so I assume it does. And the other thing that I would like on this machine is a multi-filament process, somewhat like the Bamboo Lab has, except their system is completely off left field. It's, in my opinion, it's useless. Too much wasted filament, and it slows down the print to a horrendous time to print a colour print. So hopefully one day in the future, I believe Creality are working on it. If they can come up with a system that prints multicolour or multi-filament fast, then I'm in for it, no problem at all. So just in summary, the Creality K1 Max, fantastic printer. I absolutely love it. It was money well spent, and that's about it really. I can't add any more to that. I think it's a great machine, and as I said, I paid for this machine. This is my own opinion that it is really, really good. Now don't forget WARRAGUL filament, there's a link in the description. I don't have any discounts or anything on it, but try it out and see what you think. Alright, hopefully I'll be putting a few more videos up in the near future. So until then, bye for now.